We now go to some rapid fire. Robbie, you were up first. So get your mind on now, big picture, the men's side of things. If not mistaken, I think we're kind of at the same spot that we were last week in terms of the rankings and the standings. Wisconsin's still at that number 1 spot, Purdue number 2. So just so the folks know where things stand. Okay. Will Michigan State finish as a top 4 team in the Big Ten?
The toughest question first, huh? They've won 3 straight. They've beat Rutgers, Minnesota, and Maryland. By no means are those the top teams in the league, but really bouncing back after a tough loss at Northwestern and a tough loss at Illinois. Huge game, huge opportunity to get some revenge on Friday because they've got Wisconsin, a team that's already beat them at the Breslin Center. That would go a long way in helping to get the momentum going in the right direction, and just, beating a team that's an upper echelon Big Ten team is something that they haven't done that yet. They have not beaten anybody that's towards the top of the league. So if they're going to do it, that'd be a good start. But I do think that their schedule is certainly pretty favorable. They only play Purdue once. They've got Wisconsin and they've got Illinois one more time. But you look at the teams around the league outside of those 3, I think that they can beat any other team in this league. So top 4. That's
that means you're taking somebody out, but
no,
not mine.
I'm going to say that they can. They still can finish in the top 4. Yes, we could see the Spartans as a top 4 team in the Big Ten.
One of the people that they have to face on the way to that quest is Illinois. Does Illinois have enough to make a Final Four run in the tournament?
Yeah, they do now. Now that Terrence Shannon has returned from his suspension, I think they do have enough. Certainly we don't know his status. It could change weekly. It could change in a month. It could stay the same. We really don't know. I give a lot of credit to the guys that kind of kept this thing afloat while Shannon was suspended. Marcus Damask, Coleman Hawkins, Quincy Guerrier, Ty Rogers. Those guys played really well. And for them to go 4-2 while Shannon was suspended certainly gives Illinois a chance to still be a contender in the Big Ten. But Terrence Shannon gives them someone that is so explosive in transition. I just don't think that there's anyone else really like him in college basketball. So we'll have to keep our eye on kind of what his availability is going forward, pending the legal process around him. But if he is playing, then yes, they can get to the Final Four.
Last week, we talked about some impact players, people that stood out to you. Besides Zach Edey, who's in the mix for that Big Ten first team?
Boy, it's a really competitive group right now. You look at just kind of who is out there in the Big Ten Conference. So I'll say Jameer Young is a guy that I'm putting up there. I think Boo Buie is a guy that's in that mix. If Terrence Shannon is eligible, again, who knows how many games he's going to play going forward. He's averaging over 20 a game. I think he would probably be in consideration. Tyson Walker, definitely. Is that 5? There's gonna be some guys.
We're just putting names out there. The
all right, just float names.
Is not, we're sorry if we miss anyone.
Yeah. I'll say AJ Storr is in that mix. And I think winning has to be rewarded in these awards. And I think Marcus Damask and Braden Smith have to be up for the consideration in that too. So that's like 8 or 9 guys. 4 of those dudes are pretty much locks, I think. But that last spot's certainly still up for grabs.
So we talked about the top. Now we go to the bottom. Will Michigan end up at the bottom of the Big Ten? Oh. Goodness.
Boy, I just think with Doug McDaniel's suspension for road games, that makes any game on the road, it's going to be incredibly difficult because his usage is so high. But I also think it can be kind of weird for their home games too, because you have to play a different way. He's taken 34 shots the last 2 games, 2 home games. So they're going to have to play a totally different style of play on the road, and then they come back home, and he's going to be, with the ball in his hands a lot. I think Michigan certainly could finish at the bottom. I think Rutgers, at 2-5 is down there right now. Penn State has had some struggles as well. So they could, but I think one of those 3 teams will probably finish in the spot you don't want to be, which is 14th.
Jeez. Okay, and now we get to the fun part. If anyone has been watching or listening to the pod, you know that Robbie, his guilty pleasure on the road is Entourage, and this goes back years. So,
Yes.
who's your favorite character and why?
Man, it's hard to pick. I will say to tie between Johnny Drama and Ari Gold. Those two characters are. And I actually played in a golf event with the actor who plays Johnny Drama,
Oh,
and
this
he's
is
very
deep.
similar to how Johnny Drama is in real life. So Kevin Dillon has some real similarities in getting to hear some of his Entourage stories. Were pretty cool.
That's awesome. I'm sure when you play a part long enough too, you
Exactly.
a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Meghan, we'll start with you on the women's side. Did Ohio State change your mind at all? I know you had Iowa last few weeks. They were undefeated in the conference, but what Ohio State did this past weekend, what does it have them in the mix now?
Absolutely, they're in the mix for a Big Ten championship. We're not even halfway through conference play yet. What we saw from Ohio State was impressive. They hadn't played well yet this season. They have a new transfer coming in, Celeste Taylor from Duke, in the starting lineup. They're still, a different team than they were a season ago. It takes time to find that identity and chemistry and mesh together. So now against Iowa, you start to see that come together nicely. That was a great team win for Ohio State, more so than anything. So yeah, of course, I think they could definitely contend for a Big Ten title.
Okay, so we asked Robbie, besides Zach Edey, so now the question to you, besides Caitlin Clark, first team, all Big Ten.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark, she's in there. Indiana's Mackenzie Holmes is having a fabulous season. I would say Nebraska's Alexis Markowski is putting up some fabulous numbers. She's averaging nearly a double-double. Cheyenne Sellers from Maryland, I think, is doing so many great things. They're not the Maryland we're used to seeing necessarily, but Cheyenne Sellers is being asked to do a lot, and she's producing at a very high level. And I would say after yesterday, Cody McMahon, get her a statue on campus, put her on first team all Big Ten, whatever you got to do. Celebrate Cody McMahon. If she continues, she'd been having a tough season leading up to that point. I say that, and she was the second leading scorer on the team, I believe, headed into yesterday.
Yes.
But hadn't been as dominant as we saw last March. And she was the Big Ten freshman of the year last season. But I would say as of right now, those would be my top 5. I think that's 5. And I'm sure somebody will tell me I'm missing somebody. So I'll figure it out then.
It's so hard too, as someone who was like the Big Ten freshman of the year. You come in as a first year and you're kind of unknown. You haven't earned that respect yet. And now you're on everybody's scouting report. And so now it's, taking her some time to counter the response to that. Can Indiana climb to be a 1 or 2 seed in the tournament?
I think they would have to win out from here, and they now have an injured Sydney Parrish who showed up to that Purdue game in a boot and on crutches. So we don't know what her status is, how long she'll be out. If she's out, then no. I think they're an NCAA tournament team, absolutely, but a 1 or 2 seed is going to be a stretch if they don't have Sydney Parrish. She's been playing really well lately.
History was made this weekend. We now have a new record holder when it comes to all-time wins in NCAA basketball, Tara Vanderveer. What has she meant to the game of basketball?
Yeah. Tara Vanderveer is a legend. I don't think people realize, because we all live in the Midwest, East Coast, and Big Ten country, but the Pac-12 has been the best women's basketball conference for years. For what Tara has been able to do in her time, she's coached countless All-Americans, WNBA talent at a top academic institution. People don't realize how difficult it is to win at the Stanfords of the world, the Northwesterns of the world, the Dukes of the world, where you have to give test scores to get into school normally. So she's been able to find great talent and great students, but more importantly, that consistency every single year. Coach K, absolute legend in our game, and Tara Vanderveer nonetheless is a huge legend as well. And what she's been able to do consistently over the course of her career is incredible.
Over 1,200 and counting when it comes to wins for Coach Tara Vanderveer. All right, now we circle back on your introduction into the world of Salt Lake City and the Real Housewives. Have you finished season 1?
Yes, I finished the reunions, which were crazy. Lisa Barlow and Heather got into it for no reason, but I was here for it. It was very entertaining on my delayed flight. So
Will you
Very
go
interesting.
season 2?
Heck yes, I'm going to season 2. I just have to download it. And I'm finally in my internet. I've had a busy day, but no one worry. I'm getting it downloaded and I will report back as soon as I start watching.
The answers that no one asked for, but that I'm going to give, if anyone is wondering where I'm at with my love of this kids bake show. It's just these 9 and 10-year-olds that can cook better than me. It's inspiring. Okay, so what would I try to make to compete against them? I'm thinking creme brulee with the flame on top. They don't use fire, right? Like in none of this, they're only using mostly the oven. Some of them have used the stove. So I'm thinking the flame on top would be just the thing that would work. So that would be my strategy.
Do you know how to make creme brulee?
Of course not.
That's what the internet.
You have like a recipe, like oh, it's my mom's recipe. It's been my.
That's what Google's for. Best creme brulee recipe. Enter.
Yeah. But
done
tonight, and I'm excited to see who gets vote. They vote the kids off. It's crazy. You can go vote it off. Wild.
Vote them off.